Hello, Dr. Collins. Thank you so much for meeting me here.
Oh, you're welcome, Pete. I told you I would always make myself available for you.
Yes, thank you. Well, so what I needed to talk to you about has to do with something that happened to me last night. Do you remember how I told you about the thing that happened to me when I was 8 years old? When I was walking around at my apartment complex.
Yes, but refresh my memory a bit.
Well, I was playing at the playground, and, since it had become nighttime, I began on my way back home to my apartment. On the way, I walked by an apartment with a window of whose blinds did not quite prevent a person from seeing in. So, just out of curiosity, I peered inside. Of course, I ended up seeing something that at the time, I could not understand. I guess I just thought the guy I saw was punishing the woman for something bad she had done. I could hear the sounds she was making, sounds of discomfort. Or at least that's how I interpreted the sounds. I realize now that perhaps she was readily enjoying what the gentleman was doing to her. I know she had a blindfold on, and I think her hands were bound. I did not, at this time, understand intercourse, or anything about sexuality in general. But I knew that as I was consciously aware at the time of the arousing effect seeing her, and seeing the activity that the two people engaged in was having on me. It was the most intense moment of my life, certainly at that time, and probably to this day.
Well, okay, so what happened last night?
Well, so, of course with the help of some of your insight, I have come to learn how that experience affected my sexual development. Ever since that night, voyeuristic fantasies, as well as some moderate sadism, have figured prominently in my sexuality. Last night, I stepped outside for a cigarette. Since just as when I was 8, I live at an apartment complex, going outside to smoke means that I pass by several windows of other apartments near mine. Last night, I looked at a window and could tell a woman was inside. Because of my voyeuristic fantasies, this obviously interested me. I realized that if I only went a few steps closer to the window, I would then have a mostly unobstructed view of everything or anything inside. I looked around, and since I was alone outside, went a bit closer. I looked inside the apartment, and saw that the woman inside was nude. As soon as I saw this, an intense feeling of shame overcame me, knowing that it was completely wrong for me to look. But, of course, this being a fantasy of mine, seeing this also enraptured me just like when I was 8. It felt intoxicating, euphoric.
Pete, you understand that what you did was illegal, right? A crime?
Absolutely, Dr. Collins, and that's why I felt so much shame. I still do feel shame. I don't know what to do. It doesn't seem like this is worthy of me turning myself into the police or anything, right? So I just need to swear to myself I will never allow myself to do something like this again? But now I'm afraid I am becoming completely obsessed with this woman I observed. As a neighbor of mine, I have seen her before. I know how she looks naked. On one hand, I feel like I now have some sort of power over her. I have had this intense experience with her, and she doesn't even know it. But on the other hand, it seems like since she doesn't know about what happened, I really don't have any sort of power over her. But whether or not I do isn't even important. What is important is the feeling of having the power, which in itself rivals the feeling of seeing her. It's as if
Pete, you are starting to scare me.